Hey guys, welcome. And in this video, what I want to show you is just some cool things that I like to do to help kind of push my detail on my models. And so let's just get right into it. So here we are, and we're back right where we left it, our model off. And what I want to do with this stuff here now is I want to take it from what we have in the wireframe, switch it out to kind of how it looks like right now. So this is kind of the end product of our model, and this is just so far the modeling. But what I want to do is I want to basically kind of push this further. And so I think what I'll do with that is just kind of start going through things and applying some subdivisions and then also some bevels. So let's just get started with the eyes first, and let me make sure I have them all selected here. Yeah, let's just start with these for right now. Make sure I don't have anything hidden. All right. So I'm going to press Shift H, and I'll just get started from here. So one of the things we can do to kind of help with the look of this and to kind of just push it even further is to give a modifier that's called Subdivision Surface. So in doing that, what we essentially do is we just make a subdivision, kind of like if we were to take it into ZBrush and then add more polygons to our mesh if we want to, and come over here to this levels viewport, we add more. I don't want to go past 3. I think 3 is a little kind of overkill, but what we have now is kind of a smoothed out cylinder. And if I come over here to this little panel for the monitor, it turns on and off, and it just shows the modifier on and off. And while it's on, there's a couple of things that we need to fix. And the main point being that we still want this to look solid, but when it's on, it smooths out everything and it kind of needs a bit of work. So to basically fix this, we can go in here and we can start adding some loops. We can use some bevels like this. And if I just select these two right here and Control B to bevel, notice when we start applying more, it sharpens up. And you can see it not only right here on the eye we're working on, but also on the mirrored eye because, again, the modifier we have is a mirror modifier. So that's the first thing that's happening, and it's showing the mirror of the object. So that's one way you can do it. Another way we can do it is by just using modifiers ourselves or using crease, but I'll get to that in a bit. So let me show you what adding a modifier does. So if we come down to the Bevel modifier, it instantly adds a bevel to all our objects. Let me just kind of undo that, or not undo, let me go to edit object mode. So if we bring this here, it's kind of working, kind of, but it's beveling everything. So every edge, anything at a 30-degree angle is being beveled. And we want a bit more control than that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do two things. First, I'm going to go to the face right here and poke the face. So I'll go to face and give it a poke. There we go. So that done. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to select this. Right clicking, I'm going to go down to edge bevel weight. I'm going to just drag that all the way to the right until the line looks blue. That means it's working. From here, I can change the limit method to weight. So now, anytime there's a weight or like this blue line that we just added, it'll make a bevel. Now, we just need to fix a few things in here because the bevel, first of all, it's not on, but second, it needs to kind of be a little bit more thinner. So I'd say about 0.01 is honestly a good starting point. If you want to go even a little bit more, I mean 0 millimeters, that's nothing, but if you just hold shift while you're dragging on here, you can increase the strength. You can go to 0.001 if you want to, but I'm going to keep it to 0.01. And with that, what it's doing is it's making a bevel. And let me just turn off the subdivision. As you can see, it's right there, and it looks pretty good. We can add another segment if we want, and that's basically kind of doing what we did right over here. And honestly, that looks pretty good. Now, if we apply the subdivision modifier, notice now it's giving us that smooth shape that we want. So luckily, the modifier does that for us. Now the next thing we can use is we can even bevel this itself. Let's say I don't like how that looks and I kind of want to bevel it. Let's say I bevel it to around there. Well, now the bevel's applying to both these edges because the original one did have the bevel weight added to it. So now it's essentially creating the two bevels that I have right there. And let's say I wanted to make this sharper. Let's say to 0.03. And then I just turn on the modifier. Now we have a nice crease here, and it's because we added that bevel. Now that's just kind of a way to show it, but for the most part, that's another way you can also manipulate your modifiers. The next thing we can try to use here is the crease tool. So it's in the same area as the edge bevel weight, but we just come over here to edge crease, and it's right above there. So with our object selected, we're just going to drag to the right, and this time the colors red, magenta, pink, it's a red color, more or less. And so basically what this does is it applies a crease to your object, kind of like the edge bevel weight, except if I turn that off, it's only creasing on this edge without the need of a modifier. So technically, we can even just throw this away, turn these off. Let me turn off the edge bevel weight for these. Like so, and then just crease them like that. And then that way, they're extremely sharp, but we can come in here really quick. Yeah, let's just drag it a little bit to the side, maybe a little bit. Yeah, there we go. I want to kind of get it a little bit before it starts to make a very hard crease. There we go. So something like that. So it's just methods you can use if you want to. And depending on whether you want to use like a hard crease or a soft crease is up to you. Now, for the purpose of this, I'm going to leave it at the crease tool, and I'll just go ahead and later use bevel tool, and we'll kind of switch between both. So we got everything here, and you know what? Let's just crease that guy too. There we go. And there are the eyes. So they look pretty similar to this object, except if I were to say smooth this, and look kind of gross. Luckily, that's what having the subdivision is for. And if you notice now, we have some pretty nice kind of creases helping define everything. I'm just going to go in here really quick. I'm going to just increase the crease on these, if that makes sense. And so you get them a little bit softer because we had softened the shading. And if you get something like that, but you want it to be a little bit more crisp, don't worry. Just go in here really quick and add a support line. And this line right here doesn't need to be creased. We can turn that off. And there we go. So I can come in here, press Ctrl R to make a cut. And the more I drag it towards that crease line, now you can see the less softness there is to the object. Notice right here, I'll do it again. Notice this crease right here, the kind of soft edge right here, and then right there. It's easier to tell right here, and I'll just show you. So I'm going to press Ctrl R and make a cut right there. And it's slightly better, but if I bevel this, see how now it's a lot sharper? So that's just one of the tools, kind of the things you need to look for when you're adding support loops and making sure your objects are high definition. It's a little hard to see, but notice this kind of little hue right here. It's like a gradient. It's a little gray, and the more I move it towards the right, it kind of disappears. You can see it even more on the mirrored eye. So I'm going to leave it around there. And let's call that done. So just some cool ways you can kind of bring some high poly detail to your object. and you don't have to worry too much about, you know, making sure it's destructible or, having some fun with your stuff. So, all right, let's press Alt H to unhide everything. And I'm just going to hide the kind of picture for right now. And I'm just going to start choosing some stuff that we can start, making high poly. So let's just go ahead and start with this one right here. And from the get-go, we have a few things we need to fix. So it's kind of part of making sure your objects are high poly. And so we'll just go in here really quick. And in fact, let's just hide everything else so we can kind of see what we're doing. We need to fix a few of these pieces right here because they're, how do you say this? They're kind of n-gon. They're not exactly perfect. And if we subdivide it, we get this little problem right here. So let's go back. And let's start deciding how we want to connect these pieces, because this little face right here is way too small and we don't need it. And if we're being honest, this is a little not video game friendly. If you put something like this in a video game, it will not work. It might even crash the game. Who knows? I don't know. But it's never good to have. So let's start choosing where we want to essentially start fixing our object. So I'm going to choose these two right here. Press J just to connect paths. Do the same over here. I'm going to grab these and just merge to the last, like so. And then I'm going to grab these edges right here and dissolve them. And with this one, I'm going to just merge it to last. If I really want to, I can do the same on the opposite. Oh, not like that. I can connect the path and just kind of leave like that. Sure, we don't need to technically add another edge right here because it's already a quad, but I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm going to connect this piece right here. Do the same down here. Next, I'm going to go over to the top part right here. Do the same kind of method. There we go. And then I'm going to go here, connect these paths. And then I'm going to go here and connect these paths. So it's looking a little better. Needs a bit more work, but it's getting there. There we go. Slowly making my way. And just making sure we have some clean topology to work with. I'm going to inset this back piece really quick until the pieces are pretty close, and then on each one I'm just going to set center or merge the center of the objects. Press M at center, Shift R, Shift R. There we go. So we kind of fix that, and since we're not going to see the back of it really that often, it's fine that that way at least. So let's go over here and let's start connecting some of these pieces too. Not like that. There we go. All right, looking a little better. I think what we can do here is just connect these pieces. And there we go. So now the center has a quad. The other pieces mostly have a quad. Now we just kind of need to figure a few things out. But it doesn't look like it should be that big of a problem. So let's connect this piece right here. Do the same on this one. And that looks like a nice quad. Let's connect that and that. And then I think here what we can do is kind of connect a path to go around. And it can be a little sloppy right now. It doesn't matter too much. There we go. I'm going to select all these right here. All right. I'm going to press scale, Z for the Z axis, and then 0. I press, oh, not 0. And then I'll just snap them to the vertices. There we go. I have snap on. Let me click the thing. There we go. So that's a little bit more clean, just kind of making sure the object isn't a little too crazy with like the placement of the vertices. And so now I'm going to do the same thing here. Kind of following the same path. And I want to make sure that I'm connecting it right there. Perfect. So with this one, I'm going to connect the path right here and right here. It's going to make it a triangle just so that now it's a little bit easier to kind of work with the spacing of the vertices. Press scale, Z, 0, just to flatten them. And I mean, honestly, that's pretty close. Bring it down a little bit if I want to, but really that's pretty darn close. So with that done, I think what we can do from here is now turn on the subdivision, and it looks okay. It's not the worst. It definitely looks a lot better than what we had before, but now we can start adding some bevels. And I think for this one, I want to add the Bevel Modifier. Let me just kind of drag this above the subdivision, and let's change the amount to 0.01. Let's change the limit method to weight. And now let's just go in here and let's start choosing the pieces we want to make a bevel. All right. I think I have the ones I want. Let's make another one right here. I want to crisp the lines right there. So let's go ahead, add edge bevel weight. And then let's add a second segment. And let's increase the levels from viewport. So just a little bit more smooth. Everything looks pretty good. At least the edges right here are nice and crispy. I don't know why I say crispy. It's always my little thing I like saying. But anyways, let's grab these rings right here. Just select those. There we go. Almost forgot that one. And then let's select the rings inside. And we'll fix those in a second because those are also end guns. But let's just go ahead, select those, add an edge bevel weight, and there you go. Man, that looks nice. So before we move on, I just want to go in here and connect some vertices together because right now we have end guns. And I don't particularly want them in there. Maybe we can just fix them up just by doing that. There we go. And there we are. So, looks pretty clean. There's a bit of artifacting happening here, but that's fine. I mean, all the way over here, you can't tell. You only really be able to tell if you're actually close up. Now, if you wanted to fix that, you could just come in here like so. And that'll help it out. And then if you just add a second support loop, basically gone. So that's just one way you can fix it. But I think for our purpose, we can kind of just leave it as it is. And then let's just unhide everything. There we go. And there we are. So we have a few pieces that we've basically subdivided. And if we want to, we can kind of keep going from there and just start choosing some areas we want to subdivide. So let's try with this head right here. And let's just hide everything else. There we are. And let's get to just applying some bevels. Or let's subdivide it first. Apply some bevels. So there we are. So I think with this, we'll do some creases, some bevels, and then the bevel modifier. Just so we can kind of vary it up and just I can show you there's not just one way we need to bevel. And I'll be deciding which ones I will want to use for which purpose. And I think I know how we can do this. So I'm going to just press L on these little pieces right here. I'm going to press 2 to switch it to edge mode. And I'm going to crease these. So let's just add a crease like so that they're nice and sharp. Let's just smooth this out really quick. And yeah, that's about right. It's nice and smooth. Oh, you know what? Before we kind of go any further, let's go back to this piece and smooth it out as well. We don't really need to. The bevel kind of takes care of that for us, but I like to do that just in case. Now, let me just select. Yeah, okay. So if you ever have this kind of problem where you know you're selecting something, but when you're kind of rotating the camera, just go to View, Frame Selected. There you go. So it's something that'll happen from time to time when you're working in Blender. So if you want to kind of fix the little kind of smoothing artifact here, just honestly make a little cut right there and there, and just bevel it out. There you go. I mean, that basically took care of itself. So we'll move from here, and then we'll start applying some bevels in certain places, and some support loops too. We won't just be focusing solely on the bevels. And technically, because we kind of did this from the beginning, we did add bevels here, so we don't really need to add more on these corners right here, but we can fix them up a little if you want to. If I press G twice, it slides the vertices onto the edge so that we have a little bit more control as to where they go. And it's great for helping your topology. And if you don't want to, say, move this, and then the vertice kind of gets pushed out of where your shape is. It's a little complicated, I know, but just imagine it like you try to move it out and then this goes up there, even though from this angle it looks right. Just press G twice, and you can slide this any way you want, but it still stays at that angle for the edges that you have set. So it'll slide that way and it'll slide that way. It's just a nice tool that we have. From here, what I want to do though, I want to go into this area right here. Select this face. And let's just add a connection path right there. And then I want to add a support loop right back here. And let me make sure it's working, because I thought I added it, but it didn't let me. There we go. There we are. And then let me add a support loop right here. And it's basically making an edge, just without it actually being an edge. So it kind of fixes itself. And then we can come in here and loop these right here. That's pretty nice. And then let's grab these as well. Let's crease these too. I'm going to just create a bevel cut, or I'm just going to add a cut right there, just to help with the creasing. And then with that, kind of need to go in here and fix a few things we got going on. This might need to go a little bit out, right around there. And then the actual piece itself, let me just go to vertex mode and deselect all these top parts right here. We can probably push this out a little bit more because it's a little too in, if that makes sense. So I'll just grab this, push it out to around, let's say around there. There we go, that's a little bit better. And that kind of takes care of the, well, you know what, let's push it out even more. There we go. So that just kind of helps out the look of the object. And then what I kind of want to do from here is add a support loop right there. and right there. So with that, I just want to add a cut right there to help out with the shape of the crease right here. So now it looks a little bit sharper. It looks a little bit better. And if you want to, we can add another one right here and then right there. So now you have this little nice kind of crease that goes right in there to help out the edge detail of the kind of corner, if that makes sense. So with all that done, let's take a look at where we're going and what we can do right around here. Let's see. I need to be careful with this because there's some problems we could have. Let me show you what I mean, because our object's a little bit complex. We have a few n-gons happening here too. So we have this right here. I'm going to select this face and this face. And I'll just go to select, more, and there we go. I'm going to switch to edge mode, and I'm going to apply a bevel. I'm going to apply a bevel modifier from this now, and I'll use the edge bevel weight to basically start a bevel. Now if you notice, from out here it looks nice, but we have a bit of artifacting happening, and that's because we're trying to make a very complicated object with some strange kind of flow happening here. So what I want to do is I want to remove this edge and then connect this path right here, kind of around there. Now, if you need to get a better idea what's going on, turn off your subdivision modifier and just switch the shading to flat. So what we have happening is we have a vertice kind of appearing right here that we don't need. Or not that we don't need, but we need to kind of continue the path of where it needs to go. And so it might be a little difficult to do with this example. Oh, there you go. But a way we can fix that is just kind of by fixing the path that the objects are taking. That could be adding a loop right here. That'll kind of help sharpen up the path on the opposite side. And what could also be is just that what we need to do before we bevel, we just actually have to bevel them out and then have kind of the path, how do I say this? Basically kind of be already pre-made with these specifically right here. So if I just remove the edge bevel weight, close them, see now it's nice and smooth. It's because it's being affected by these right here. So what I'm going to do, connect this, connect that, connect that. And so with that ready, let me deselect the bevel weight on that piece right there. That's looking better. So it's just a little bit of work we have to do here, and gotta kind of have to figure out how we want this to work. But in the end, it does kind of give us some good results. And there you go. So just by adding a few kind of bits and pieces of work in there, kind of help shape this kind of look of the bevel. And let's see. I think what I'll do, connect pieces right here, merge them, have it connect right there. And bring this down a bit, just to help with the shape. And that looks pretty good. So that'll just kind of help the shape the object a little bit better. And I think from there, we can add a support loop to kind of connect it over here to this area. Just press J, and it makes a path for us. And then from there, we're basically ready to move on to just adding more to the top part right here and kind of fixing up what we have here. But overall, it's looking pretty good. I think maybe the last thing I'll do before we kind of close up here for today is just bevel these out right here. Like so. And then I'm going to just add a bevel weight right here. Or not bevel, I'm going to actually bevel these pieces right here. And then merge them right there. And I'll kind of leave that for later. Let me just remove that bevel edge weight and then connect it right here. There we go. And yeah, we'll fix that. We'll fix this when we come back. But there we go. So it's already looking pretty good. Let me kind of bring back everything. And it's starting to kind of smooth out a little bit better instead of what we had before. So from here, we'll just kind of move on to fixing up everything, and that'll be in the next video. So hope you liked it. Hope you liked what I had to show and kind of what we'll be doing. And trust me, it'll get really detailed pretty quick. So just follow along with me, and in the next video, I'll try to be not too fast, but definitely, since we've talked about kind of what to do here, I'll be kind of moving along and just trying to fix whatever we need to get fixed. So let us know what you think. Hope you like and subscribe, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you like the videos I'm doing and if there's anything you want me to see me do. So I'll see you then, guys.